Welcome back to Amy Kardashian and the Expert Show. I really have a special guest this time. Either you know someone or you lost someone in your life. We all somehow have to deal with it one way or another, to lose loved ones. And it is the most difficult things to really deal with, because I dealt with that all my life. But I'm so excited to bring this guest on the show, because he's going to give you some insight to help you or your friend or family members to how to deal with the loss of loved ones. His name is Edward Franco. Welcome, Edward.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. It's nice to have you on the show. The reason I'm so excited to have you, because I heard your story, but I want everyone to hear it, and then we're gonna hear some of the wisdom. You're gonna help us to deal with our losses. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Thank you, yeah. So 4 years ago, one of my beautiful children was knocked down and killed by a careless driver. I was an orderly, neat, methodical person, and my world was immediately turned completely upside down. It was crushed, yeah. I realized I was going through a pattern which is very stereotypical. I was severely depressed. I had lost any sense of purpose. You don't understand what the meaning of life is anymore. And I was always a person who I was very introverted, but I became even more introverted.
Okay.
People would say things to me like, he's in a better place, or it's time you got over it and moved on now. And so I stopped talking to people completely. And so for a long time, I was suffering myself, and I realized eventually that I was causing everyone else to suffer. I wasn't helping my family. After Ben had died, I told my children, Ben wouldn't want his death to ruin your lives. And I realized I wasn't the one not listening to this advice. And so I decided I needed to change. Something needed to happen. I had read a lot of books. I had been to some groups. And whilst I found they were very useful, they didn't really help me with how do I recover. You know, I learned what the stages of grief were, or what I could expect. And so I decided I needed to spend some time and find some tools, a process which I could use to help me move forward. I had worked for the same company for a long, long time, for nearly 40 years, and they had been taken over. And this was at the same time when my son was killed. And so I was very unhappy. My values and their values were a long way off. But I held on to the job. You know, it's like you have to hold on to something. Yeah. And so I decided, you know, I'm unhappy, they can't be happy, I better quit the job. It's very uncomfortable, you know, somebody who was employed all my life. But I decided,
basically gave up on your life.
Yeah. So I quit the job, and I decided I would start studying how I can recover faster. You know, I knew from change management that there are tools and there are processes. And the first thing I remembered was Viktor Frankl. So Viktor Frankl was a psychologist who was in the Holocaust and the Second World War. I identified with him, which is how I knew of him, because my mother, she's 96 now, is also a Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
And like him, she lost almost her entire family. He lost his mother, his father, his children, his wife, pregnant at that time.
He knows what the pain, what means to be in pain.
Yes. And at the end of the war, he was asked, how did you survive so well? You know, not only you survived, but you came out and you had even greater purpose. And what he said was extremely simple. He said, I realized that the Nazis could take away all my human dignity, but how I chose to respond to it was up to me.
Nice, nice.
But that is so powerful. And then as I started studying that, I discovered that pain and suffering are not the same. You know, pain is a physical or an emotional reaction. So when Ben was killed, of course I was in tremendous emotional pain, tremendous. But the suffering was what I was doing to myself. And that was an enormous learning. You know, I kept telling myself, why did it happen?
To separate those two.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing,
Yes. And that for me was the most powerful first thing to understand, that I could choose, I could stop the suffering.
So that was a key for you to say, okay, it's in my hand, the suffering. The pain is there. It's never going to go away.
That's right.
People say in time will go away. The pain is pain, but suffering, it's another thing. It's a different, you're going really down. It takes you down, the
That's right.
suffering. And you take everybody down with you. So when you made that decision, is because you, because of that one person said it? It just clicked in
I had gone through this realization that I was really ruining everyone around me. And I
it was time for
remembered
you.
this, and it was time, yes.
So what would you say to everyone who lost loved ones? There is nothing strong more than losing a son or a daughter or any of, like your child.
Yes.
A child, it's a little bit difficult. But we lose, people in our life, not necessarily son or daughter. But so the first things you're telling us is recognize if the suffering from pain, right?
Yes. And there are some very easy tools to use with that.
Can you give us
Yes.
some of that too?
So, what I learned again is that we have three main elements to the way we present ourselves.
Okay.
We have our physiology, how we stand, how we present ourselves. We have our focus, which is what we think about. And then we have the language we use.
Correct.
So I started saying to myself, okay, so instead of saying, why did this happen? What could I have done? I need to change my language and I need to change my focus. And then also I started saying, I can't be like this anymore. I need to present myself properly to go with the language, the focus I'm using.
And it's like when you're wearing a suit, you don't want to wear tennis shoes with it. So you want to adjust with it.
Yes.
So everything starts to follow.
Yes.
Okay, and then what is the third?
Well, I was going to say, and to begin with, I don't want to call it a game, but you have to catch yourself
Sure.
doing these things, and then you
Yes.
have to switch. Yeah. I won't go through all the steps in order, but there are some which I think are really important. The second one, I think, is forgiveness. So it's really important you forgive yourself, but you forgive everyone else. When I'm telling
In the
myself,
process.
what could I have done? And I started saying, what's the truth? And the truth is I couldn't have done anything.
That's right. It's not in your control.
It's not in my control. And my wife used to say, what if we had talked to him for just 10 more seconds? We were on the phone with him and he said, I have to go to the shops. And the answer
And
is
that's what happened.
nothing. I started thinking about the lady. I was spending so much time. I was angry with her. I was bitter. I was resentful. I was cross with the police because they didn't seem to care. And then I said to myself again, what's the truth? The truth is, first of all of the energy I'm wasting on this anger, this resentment,
It's not serving.
is not serving anything.
You can't change it.
Yes. But
That's
I can
the-
use the energy
Yes.
for better purposes.
So that's the mindset that you're telling everyone.
Yes.
Just change your mindset and how you think about the story.
That's right.
Correct?
That's correct.
How they can get hold of you? Can you please let us know?
Sure.
Give us your
So
website.
I have a set of materials. It's a book and a video course, which is on youwillchangetheworld.com.
Nice.
And you can also reach me directly by phone, 281-658-2957. Because really part of my purpose now is to help anyone
help
who's been
others.
through this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in and sharing the deep emotional story and how you overcome it. And then I'm sure you are going to help many people going through the same thing right now. And they don't know how to find themselves back up.
Yes.
And I appreciate that about you.
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much, yeah.
Okay, nice having you on my show. And for all of you there, I hope you enjoyed this show. And I encourage you to stay focused on your purpose. Until next time, take care.